I think that slide is somewhere else anyway. So, just want to take this one here. I can see. Krishna, bhai गिर गया है. So let us do a quick recap of how we started. We started, what is the quest of human existence? We all want to be happy. We all want to be happy. But then we have realized that there are some issues with happiness. Happiness doesn't come automatically. Even if it comes for a short time. So happiness is elusive. So sometimes there is happiness and sometimes there is sorrow. Okay. And who are we? Who are we? What did we discuss? Who are we? Yeah. We are spirit soul. Let me just adjust this. So let's see. You want eternal happiness? So who are we? We are spirit soul. So what is the spirit soul made up of? I asked a tricky question. What is the spirit soul made up of? So what are we made up of? We are spirit soul. हम शरीर नहीं हम आत्मा है, right? But what is our, then the ideal question should be, what is our body made up of? Body is made up of 5 material elements. What are those 5 material elements? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. 5 material elements. And then there is another body which is called Sushma Sharir. The Sushma Sharir is made up of three things: Man, Buddhi and Ahankar. So this soul, that spirit soul, has 2 bodies around it. One is the material body and then one is the subtle body. एक सूक्ष्म शरीर है और भौतिक शरीर. Okay. So far so clear. I can't. It is very tiny font. I don't know what is happening. Let me just see if I can notice this. Like this. So then we also discussed that we have a human life and then there are other kinds of lives. और भी अलग योनियां हैं. How many different types of species are there? 84 lakh species, or 8.4 million types of different species. Okay. So then we, out of that, some are water species, some are land species, different types of birds, animals, aquatics, amphibians, and then there is around 4 lakh of human species also. So then we discussed the probability. The probability of getting human life we discussed based on numerator and denominator, and we discovered it is very, very less. It is actually very difficult to get a next human life because there are so many species. Okay. So then we discussed, okay, now that we have got this human life, okay, what is our goal? Because this the probability is less. Because animals also do the same thing. What was that? 4 things that animals and humans have common in: eating, sleeping, mating, and then defending. Okay, these are 4 things that even animals do, and as humans also we do the same thing. But then we have a difference, right? And what is the difference? We have a higher intelligence. We have to ask a question of what is the reason behind my existence? What will happen to me after this death? Is there life after death? There are these certain questions which we have to ask based on our higher intelligence. Yeah. So to get eternal happiness. Now to get eternal happiness, what are the problems that come in our eternal happiness? We all want to be happy, but then there are certain problems that come to us. Now we discovered that when we discussed, we said that these problems have a common characteristics. There are three common characteristics that these problems have. Okay, the first characteristic is it is common to all. No one wants it, and then no one can avoid it. That is called a common problem, right? Because we took an example that if it is raining very heavily, some of us may not like it. But the person who is having an umbrella business, he will love it because the umbrella business is going to flourish. So that is a good problem for him to have. But then what we want is a common problem for all. And those common problems are, what are those common problems? Birth. Second क्या है? We will go in sequence. Birth हुआ, फिर disease, correct. Then old age and death. These four are common. Okay, and then there are three more problems. Which are they? Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Daivika. What is the English name for that? Misery is caused by one's own body and mind. Misery is caused by other living entities. And misery is caused by natural disturbances. Okay. And then we ask this question, why birth? Disease, old age and death तो पता चलता है कि why it is a, do you understand Hindi? Yeah. Disease, old age and death तो पता चलता है हमको problem है. Birth क्यों problem है? Birth is, we said, right? Happy birthday, we sing and everything, and we celebrate birth of a new birth in our house. So why is birth a problem? It is the starting of all problems, but yeah, okay. But still, we say who can describe more? So why is birth a problem? Huh?
He brings the karma along with it.
Brings the karma along with it. Okay, yeah.
Like at the time of birth, you have a lot of pain if you are in a womb in 9 months.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I wanted that. Correct. Practically, the baby is inside the womb for 9 months in a very constricted position. It is not a happy thing for the baby at all. Okay, right? And whatever the mother eats, the baby has to, if the mother smokes, then the baby also has to partially smoke. एकदम बीच में आता है ये ना ऐसा ऑडियंस के मेरे बीच में उनको दिखाई नहीं देता, तो थोड़ा छोटा करके कर सकते हैं. So yes, so it is a problematic thing. And there are stools and other things around in that little space, and for 9 months the baby has to go up and down, move around in a constricted space, and that is why it is not such a nice thing to have. Okay, so once we get a womb, once we are out of the womb, then inside the womb the baby prays that, Lord, I am constricted here, I am so sorry for whatever I have done, please help me this time, please help me get out of this material. But the baby prays inside. But as the birth happens, then we discovered that due to the various energies and various material energies of Krishna, the baby forgets its connection to the Lord, and then it comes and again into the material world. Yeah. So birth is a problem. Yes. We discussed that. So these problems, can technology address these problems? No, not really. Earthquake technology can predict an earthquake, but then can't do much. Okay. So technology cannot address this problem. It is very, very difficult. So then we discussed various other things about God's existence, gaining realization of God, and then what else do we have? Okay, all right. So we will stop here, and then so this is a recap. Now, what did we do last week? So yeah, shlokas we will do, but from a topic perspective, we discussed. So Bhagavad Gita has how many topics? How many subjects Bhagavad Gita broadly discusses? 5. What are those? So Jiva, who am I? Ishvara, who is God? Prakriti, what is material nature? Kal, what is time? And karma, action and its reaction. Karma. So these are 5 broad topics discussed in Bhagavad Gita, out of which we discussed who am I. In very much detail, we discussed over 2-3 classes. And during that time, we also discussed that we as a living entity soul have to continuously take one birth after another. and then when the body goes from, when the soul passes from one body to another body, what goes along with it? The subtle body goes along with it. मन बुद्धि अहंकार एक बॉडी से, पुराने बॉडी से नए बॉडी में साथ में चले जाता है. You are understanding till now? Yes. Then we discuss some rules about the new body. So in Bhagavad Gita there are some rules. There is a manual, right? So what is the rule 8.6? What is that rule? Who can say? Or if can anyone say that shloka 8.6? You can look and also say, that is okay. What is 8.6 shloka? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate kalevaram tam eva iti kaunteya sadastar. Yes. So yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate ante kalevaram tam eva iti kaunteya sadastar bhava bhavitaha. So yam yam. So now we can somebody can read the translation if you have. What is the or we can explain the translation. What is it? What does this rule mean?
Whatever we have a state of mind at the time of death, we are bound to born in that state.
Can you repeat that again on this one?
Whatever is the state of the mind at the time when we are leaving the body, so we are bound to born with that state of mind.
With that state of
body, mind, or even the emotions.
Emotions, okay. So in simple words, we will say whatever is the last thought, last picture जो सामने flash किया, उसके ऊपर नया body मिलेगा, right? And what example did we took? We take an example. Bharat Maharaj example we discussed. Bharat Maharaj was an exalted devotee, and then he went to the forest for his last tapasya and further enhancing his spiritual practices, and then he fell in love with a deer. Then the deer baby he raised, and he became attached to the deer. You also understand English, Mataji? So the deer baby, then eventually fully attached to the deer baby, and then his sadhana came down, his spiritual practices came down, and then when he was dying, he thought of the deer, and then in the next birth he became a deer. So whatever we think at the last moment, we get that state. Then what is rule number 5, 8.5? So Krishna also says, Bhagavan also said in Bhagavad Gita that there is another rule also. Antakalecha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samabhava atra sanshaya. What does that mean? Yes, Shruti Mataji, what does that mean?
Those who relinquish the body while remember me during the death will have this.
Yeah. So correct. So Krishna in 8.6 says that whatever is the last thought, that rule will come into existence. But then Krishna also says that in the last thought, if you remember me, then you will come to me. You will come to my abode. He says my nature, that means my abode. You will come to my abode. So that is the 8.6. Okay. So now today we will do one more shloka. So we will repeat that shloka which we did last time, and then we will look at one more shloka, okay? And then we can discuss today's topic. Bye. So let us do this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 5. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshayah. Yes, we can read that English translation.
And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
अच्छा जब हिंदी पढ़ेंगे कौन पढ़ना चाहे आप ना पढ़ो।
और जीवन के अंत में जो केवल मेरा स्मरण करते हुए शरीर का त्याग करता है वो तुरंत मेरे स्वभाव को प्राप्त करता है, इसमें रंच मात्र भी संदेह नहीं है।
The Lord said in the last line, of this there is no doubt, इसमें रंच मात्र भी संदेह नहीं है, so please don't doubt. The Lord is basically telling, He knows our nature that we will always keep on doubting Him ना, कृष्णा तो बोल दिया लेकिन होगा क्या? So Krishna is telling us don't doubt, yeah? So have faith in Krishna. Okay? So now related to this there is one more shloka where the Lord is giving us ashvasan, where the Lord is giving us guarantee that if you do certain things you will definitely go to Him. Okay? So let's do that. Yeah. हो गया सबका 4.9 we are going to see. Yeah. 4.9 जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुनः जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुनः। Can you read that English translation?
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
Yes. And maybe one of you can read the Hindi. Yes.
हे अर्जुन, जो मेरे आविर्भाव तथा कर्मों की दिव्य प्रकृति को जानता है, वो इस शरीर को छोड़ने पर इस भौतिक संसार में पुनः जन्म नहीं लेता, अपितु मेरे सनातन धाम को प्राप्त होता है।
So can somebody say what is Krishna trying to tell to Arjun here?
If you understand Him in His true form, then you will attain Him.
Then you will change. So 8.6, 8.5 says if you remember Krishna at the time of death, we will go back to Krishna. We will go back to his abode. And Krishna also says, this is chapter 4, this is before 8 point occurs, right? 8 chapter it occurs. So in 4, Krishna is telling Arjun that if you know me, if you study my transcendental form, if you study my transcendental activities, if you know me incompletely, then too you can come to me. Concession is on behalf. So just by understanding Krishna, how do we understand Krishna? We can read Bhagavad Gita, right? We can read Bhagavad Gita. So we can read Bhagavad Gita, we can read so many other scriptures, and that way we can understand Krishna. So this is another rule. This is a very important one. Janma karma cha me divya. We can attain my eternal abode. We never take birth again in this material world. So when we discuss, there are 5 topics in Bhagavad Gita: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti. So when we discuss Prakriti, how this material world is made up of, and is there a world beyond this material world? Yes, there it is, and it is a spiritual world. So at that time we will understand what this material world, what the eternal abode means, because then we will also introduce the concept of time, and how with the concept of time the material world is destructed. Sometimes it is partially destructed or annihilated, sometimes it is completely annihilated, but the eternal abode still remains the same. So sometimes Brahma can see that under it that all the world is getting destroyed, and then sometimes there is a full annihilation where Brahma himself also gets destroyed. Okay, so there are very, very interesting topics coming up in the weeks ahead. So you just have to keep on coming. If you miss one class, then there will be a lot of gap, and then you will miss that enthusiasm, because then Maya will take over. एक क्लास मिस किया, then slowly 2 classes, 3 classes, then gone, and then this chance doesn't come again, because Krishna works on free independence, free will दिया है सबको. Based on your free will you have come today here, but then this opportunity doesn't come again and again. So try and not miss any classes. Try not to go any birthday parties on Fridays, because this is your most important part of your life, right? And then you must come and you must take these classes for 6 months. मुझे दो अगले. That's it. After that, I will give you enough information based on what Prabhupada has given in his books, and then you can then decide your future course of action. Also during these classes, there may be some things which you may not like. Certain everyone has their own spiritual practices and things like that. So you may not like what certain things I may say based on the scriptures, but just hang on. Hang on, and then just go sail through that boat, and then just reach the shore, and then later on you can decide कि क्या बोला ये क्यों बोला. And but I'm going to speak based on evidences, okay? So because it has happened, I've taken various classes, and then sometimes I say something and then some person does not like, and then he just drops off. But then if you take half the knowledge and then you drop off, then you don't know what you missed. So always hear the full thing, okay? Alright. So last class what did we do? We will revise that and then we will continue from there on. Does God exist? है ना? इधर क्या हुआ? Coming to that. So we quickly revise. So we discussed about the proof of God, that there is this creation that is done here, and then we know that there has to be some reason behind all of this creation, okay? So we discussed that telephone भी किसी ने बनाया था, steam engine ने भी किसी ने बनाया था, telescope बनाया था, electric bulb बनाया था. वैसे ही किसी ने एक solar system भी बनाया है. Did I tell you the story of Thomas Alva Edison?
Yeah. I don't know. I know the story.
Yeah, but किसी को और को भी था ना? नहीं, it was not Thomas Alva Edison. It was a big scientist.
Tesla. Nikola Tesla.
आज के वर्ल्ड का नहीं, उस लाइन को बात कर रहा हूँ मैं. But yeah, एक सोलर सिस्टम भी बनाया ना, एक पूरा का पूरा.
You're talking about Big Bang theory.
Darwin theory नहीं, चलो ठीक है. Martha ji knows what I am speaking about. So Newton. नहीं.
He found out gravity.
Third law.
नहीं, Newton. Einstein. Yes, Einstein. Einstein लिखा, Newton लिखा. So there was once a scientist, and he was he had a atheist friend कि जो भगवान पे believe नहीं करता था. So one day that atheist friend came to his house, and this scientist, he had prepared a nice model of the solar system, how the sun and moon and all the planets revolve around each other. Working model उसने बना के ऐसे छत पे टांग दिया था, सीलिंग पे, और सब बराबर ऐसे घूम रहा था. And then this friend came and then said, "What a beautiful model you have made." बोला, who made? उसने बोला, how? What a beautiful model you have made, because he knew this guy only is a scientist, एकदम पक्का इसी ने किया होगा. But the scientist said, "I did not make it. It just happened automatically." ऐसा सुबह उठा मैं और वो आ गया था इधर. Then that friend said, क्या? Why you are telling lies? ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. Then he said, यार कि तू तो एथिस्ट है ना, मैं तो मॉडल बनाया है, रियल सन रियल मून सब लोग है, you are not believing that, but you believe that this model I have made. You know how eh? So how do we how we have to empower ourselves with good knowledge so that we can counterattack atheists, or at least not fall into their trap. So atheists you will see in all form of lives, कि है ही नहीं भगवान, सब ऑटोमेटिक चल रहा है. अरे कैसा चल रहा है, बराबर सन कैसे इससे आता है वैसे जाता है. And then we took an example. Have we ever heard that an announcement, आज सूर्य देव देर से चल रहे हैं, 10 मिनट देरी से आएंगे, रुकावट के लिए खेत है. नहीं ना, we don't see that, right? So we, based on these things, we understand that there is a certain kind of rules and regulations that are going in the background, and then obviously somebody has to make those rules. कोई तो principal है ना, who is making all of this, huh? So did I tell you a story of a person who was an atheist person ही था वो, who was sitting under a banyan tree, बड़ा tree था banyan tree का एक छोटा fruit होता है ऐसे कुछ तो गोल छोटा छोटा ऐसा होता है. So that he was sleeping underneath and that fruit came from up and it fell on his head. बोलते इतना छोटा fruit कि
I know the story.
या इतना छोटा फ्रूट इतना बड़ा पेड़ पे इतना छोटा बना है. किसने बनाया ये ऐसे पागल जैसे बनाया? कोई बड़ा फ्रूट होना चाहिए था ना. Then at that time a storm came and all these small fruits fell on him. उसको small भी इतने लग गया उसको. Then that his friend told him कि देखो बड़ा fruit होता तो कैसे होता फिर, then you would have been killed by now. So there are so many small things that there are in this nature, and that is how we should see God in every aspect. Recently we did some puja and then there was a nariyal, that nariyal was there, that coconut was there, and then we got the coconut as a prasad, and then when I broke, because my wife was after me, you immediately break this coconut because I have to make coconut chutney. So I broke that coconut and then it broke in such a way that the entire white shell inside just came out, pura ka pura aise white shell, for whatever reason. Otherwise you would break it into half and then you can see the white shell. So entirely it was just as it is. And then when we cut inside was soft white flesh of the coconut along with water. And then I was thinking how it is nicely made. Bahar set of 3 layers, then under again white, and then water inside. So much of planning, so much of things that God has given, and then we still say there is no God. So many people do that. Okay, so let's fast forward ahead. We came to a conclusion where we all have a urge, and every urge is, there is a fulfillment for every urge. So we feel hungry, there is food provided. We feel thirsty, there is water provided, and things like that. Okay, so we came to a conclusion that there is somebody who is doing this everything. Okay, and then we said what is the definition? There is somebody, there is that supreme power who is behind all of this. And then we took a shastric evidence from the scriptures. From Vishnu Puran we took one evidence. We took a definition of Bhagavan. So Bhaga means opulences and Van means to possess. Then we took examples. They say Balwan, one who has a lot of strength. Vidyavan, one who has lot of education. Sheelavan, one who is and then और क्या, कौन सा वन? शक्तिमान, क्या ना, strength था, और क्या था? One was truthful, yes. So then we said Bhagavan. Okay, so we are doing the definition of Bhagavan, and we discussed this shloka from Vishnu Puran. So let's recite this one. ऐश्वर्यस्य समाग्रस्य वीर्यस्य यशस्य श्रियः ज्ञानवैराग्यश्चैव सन्नं भग इतिंगणा. So this is coming from Vishnu Puran. This is the definition of God. Okay, so this is Sanskrit. We will do the English translation now. So somebody can read the English translation.
Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is thus defined by Prasara Muni as one who is full in six opulences, who has full strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty and renunciation.
तो भगा मतलब कि opulences, there are 6 opulences. और रेड कलर में देखा ना, full, that is the keyword. So full strength जिसके पास है, full fame, प्रसिद्धि जिसके पास है, full wealth, बहुत सारा धन जिसके पास है, endless धन, full knowledge, complete knowledge, पूरा ज्ञान, Gyan, Vigyan, everything, and beautiful, full beauty, and then complete renunciation. Because if you have the first 5, if you have a lot of wealth, वैसे ही घमंड आ जाता है ना? हाँ? और कोई बहुत ज़्यादा ब्यूटीफुल हो, उसको वैसे ही घमंड आता है, दूसरे को देखे भी नहीं बाजू में, है? नॉलेज जिसको ज़्यादा है उसको अपना घमंड है, करेक्ट? If anyone is powerful in any one person, automatically घमंड आ जाता है. So last one is renunciation. Yet that person is completely renunciated. ऐसे. So anyone who has all of these 6 things in full is qualified to be called as Bhagavan. This is the definition given. क्योंकि हम we use the word God interchanging, ना? कोई भगवान बोलता है, कोई ईश्वर बोलता है, तो these are different words. ईश्वर is not equal to भगवान. In a sense, there is a technical difference. We can interchangeably use, that is okay, that we may refer to God only, but technically हम लोग पढ़ेंगे कि क्या अपना शास्त्र बोलता है, right? So Bhagavan is one with full. And why we are using full? Because even we have these properties, these attributes in us, but in a limited quantity. So we have qualities of the Lord, but in limited quantity. So that doesn't make us God. So you have to understand. Because sometimes when you go outside, people will say, आप भी भगवान हो, मैं भी भगवान हूँ, सब भगवान है. तो फंसना नहीं. हाँ, हम भगवान की कुछ क्वालिटीज है हमारे में, बट हम उस लेवल पे नहीं कि हम भगवान बन गए. ना तुम हो, ना हम है, कोई नहीं बन सकता. ये जिसके पास है, ये कैटेगरी अगर है, then you are qualified to see. So then people sometimes ask ना कि can you show me God? ना? People sometimes ask this question कि चलो भगवान के बारे में तुम बोलते, can you show me God? So then what do we do? So there was a professor who was an atheistic professor, and he was addressing his students, okay, and he asked the student को पूछा, can you show me God? If you believe in God, because students believed in God and the professor did not believe in God, so he told the students, if you believe in God, can God come and stand before me? वो साइंस का प्रोफेसर था. मुझे बोलता है कि have you seen God? Have you ever smelled God? Have you touched God? Have you tasted God? Have you heard God? Student बोल नहीं. No. Then by the laws of science, I declare that God doesn't exist. तो दूसरा भी स्टूडेंट था उधर, तो उसने बोला कि प्रोफेसर, have you seen your intelligence? Have you tasted your intelligence? Have you heard your intelligence? Have you felt your intelligence? No. Then by the laws of science, I declare that you are not intelligent. That's it. ऐसा तर्क वितर्क तो कर सकते हैं ना हम लोग, फिर टाइम वेस्ट हो जाता है, बट तर्क वितर्क कर सकते हैं. So what is darkness? Absence of light. So there is nothing called as darkness. Darkness is absence of light. लाइट बंद करूंगा तो darkness आएगा, which means light is the present thing. If it is absent, then the definition is darkness. So if somebody asks us, can you see God, or if you are going to ask me, then we can say first of all, ours is a material body. Material senses are deceptive, है ना? ये लाइंस कैसी है? कितनी टेढ़ी लाइन है मुझे पता है, कितनी ऐसी टेढ़ी लाइन है और कितनी ऐसी टेढ़ी लाइन है. जैसे ऊपर के 2 ऐसी है टेढ़ी, एंड देन नीचे वाली बाकी 2 ऐसी ऐसी टेढ़ी है ना, है?
But they all are straight, but they look like that.
है ना?
In different angles they can.
कुछ लोग ऐसे बोल रहे हैं ना कि कुछ स्मार्ट है, उनको पता है. तो basically all the lines are straight in this one. They are all parallel lines. But our vision, our senses give a optical illusion बोलते हैं ना इसको. Our senses are imperfect. We suddenly feel कि यार सारी टेढ़ी लाइन है. But if you look at from here this angle, ना सारी straight lines है. They are perfectly parallel. One more thing. कितने स्पाइरल्स है ऐसे, कितने ओवल सर्कल्स है? ओवल्स है कितने? अच्छा, ओवल है तो कैसा है? अंडे के शेप का है? हाँ, but they are all circles. But sometimes when you look at it from the back, maybe from a certain angle you may see it as a circle, but from you look at the back, then they may appear oval. और एक एग्जांपल है, तो यहाँ पे सारे परफेक्ट सर्कल्स है. These are all perfect circles. ये अंडा का शेप नहीं है ये. These are circles. So here these are two yellow lines. So the top one is bigger and the bottom yellow line is smaller. True or false? They are both the same, but it appears this way.
From this angle, it appears look like small. If you go on that side, that will is
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So what we are trying to do? Our senses are imperfect. हम अपने senses से बोलेंगे कि मैं इसी से भगवान को देखूंगा, तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सिंपल चीजें ही हमारे को समझ में नहीं आ रही है, इसी में हम कंफ्यूज हो रहे हैं. तो क्या देखेंगे फिर? So humans have 4 defects. Okay, we have 4 defects. Our senses are 4 defects. So उसका एक मैं एक्रोनिम दूंगा. माइक होता है ना, एम माइक का स्पेलिंग क्या होता है? MICS करेंगे, बनाना है अपन को एक्रोनिम MICS, so that we can remember. MICS. M is humans have a tendency to commit mistake. We all have a tendency to commit. हम गलतियां करेंगे. Okay, 1. Then we have a tendency to be illusioned. जैसे हमने देखा ना, हमको कुछ लग रहा है कि एक लाइन बड़ी है, सर्कल दिख रहा है, इल्यूजन है. इल्यूजन को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? हाँ, भ्रम है, इल्यूजन में. So M is tendency to make mistakes. I is for to be in illusion. C, propensity to cheat. We all have that propensity to cheat in smaller or larger quantities in different individuals. But it is there in all of us. All of us it is there. Maybe in some mind. And as we progress spiritually, then that tendency will slowly fade away. But it is there. Propensity to cheat. So MIC, mistakes, illusion, cheating. And then last one is imperfect senses. All our senses are imperfect. Okay. So we have these 4 issues. Okay. So that is why it is not possible sometimes to make a statement that I want to see God. Okay. There are so many problems in us. Okay. So how do we learn something? If we want to acquire knowledge, there are 3 ways to acquire knowledge. Okay. एक है प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण. You see directly. Okay. You see something directly, like you do some science experiment. You see that and you say, okay, because this has happened, I've mixed this two, and now this is the output. So that is how I make a conclusion. Direct sense, prataksha praman. Okay. Seeing is believing. 3 ways to acquire knowledge. First is prataksha praman. Second is anuman praman. Speculation. मैं अनुमान लगाऊंगा कि अनुमान होगा कि शायद नेक्स्ट बॉल पे वो 6 मारेगा. आई एम जस्ट स्पेकुलेटिंग. He may get out, he may not, but I can just do that way. Okay. तो लोग अनुमान लगाते हैं. नॉलेज में भी अनुमान, भगवान के इसमें भी अनुमान लगाते हैं. भगवान ऐसा होगा, शायद लाइट होगा, शायद ये होगा, शायद वो होगा. अनुमान प्रमाण. आई कैन ऑल्सो डू दैट. ओके. स्पेकुलेशन कर सकते हैं. ओके. एंड देन द थर्ड वे इज okay, so third way will come. So the problem with anuman praman, speculation, there is this example given. These are all these 5 or 6 blind people. Okay. And the first time they are being taken to an elephant, close to an elephant. So everyone is trying to feel the elephant in a different way. एक पहले नीचे जो खड़ा है, वो he is feeling the elephant trunk and he is saying, okay, ये सांप जैसा लग रहा है, बहुत बड़ा, अजगर जैसा बड़ा सांप जैसा लग रहा है ये. The second one is holding the tusk, he is saying, इसका तो बहुत चक्कू जैसा लग रहा है, छुरा जैसा लग रहा है. Third one on the top, he is feeling something different. The fourth one next to the elephant body is feeling कि ये तो ईंट जैसा वॉल है, बिल्कुल कड़क एकदम. कोई पैर को पकड़ा है, he is thinking that the leg is like a tree, and the last one who is holding the tail is thinking that the tail is like a rope. So everyone is thinking differently. So this is the problem. If we start speculating who is God, what is the definition of God, how many gods are there, how does God function, what is material nature, if we start speculating with our own mind, we will not come to the correct conclusion. इसमें अभी what is the answer? If a person who knows the elephant, who can see the elephant, comes and explains it to them, बाबा ये हाथी ऐसा होता है, ये ऐसे सूंड होती है, इससे पानी उठाता है, इससे खाता है, and this is how his body is huge and big. If he gives this knowledge to those blind people, then the blind people can understand what an elephant is made up of and how the elephant looks. Similarly, even for spiritual knowledge, we will need someone to explain it to us. If we try to discover, then it's going to be difficult. If we try अनुमान लगाने बैठ जाएंगे, ये जिंदगी वेस्ट हो जाएगी, सारी जिंदगी निकल जाएगी. Okay, so we say that प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण we can't see and we can't, because our senses are imperfect. We have those 4 defects. We can't speculate. Okay, so last one is Shabda Praman, word of the bona fide authority. And what is the bona fide authority? शब्द मतलब कि किसी गुरु से नॉलेज लेना चाहिए. यस, किसी गुरु से नॉलेज लेना चाहिए. ओके, सो शब्द प्रमाण. और हमारे लिए शब्द प्रमाण इज द वेदास, क्योंकि अभी गुरु भी है, बट व्हेन कलियुगा केम, बिफोर कलियुगा केम, लॉर्ड न्यू कि पहले तो नॉलेज है ना, बोल के देते थे. इन सत्युग एंड ऑल देयर वर नेवर बिग बुक्स एंड अदर थिंग्स. The knowledge was given by the guru to all the disciples sitting down. बोलते थे और शब्द प्रमाण, just by hearing knowledge was obtained, knowledge was transferred from guru to the students, and the students then used to transfer the same knowledge to other students just by hearing. But as different yugas went on, Kali Yuga mein our memory is fading. We can no longer receive complete knowledge just by hearing. God knew this. That is why he took the form of Srila Vyasadeva as a literary incarnation, and he wrote all the scriptures. So सारे वेदास लिखे, इतिहास लिखे, पुराण लिखे, उपनिषद लिखे. So वेदास are our knowledge. So जो वेद शास्त्रिक पुराण में जो भी लिखा है, वहाँ से ही हम नॉलेज ले सकते हैं भगवान के बारे में, और कहीं से नहीं ले सकते. This is what we are trying to conclude here. या तो कोई गुरु हो जिन्होंने ये सारा पढ़ा हो, उनसे हम नॉलेज ले सकते हैं. अच्छा, ये दूसरा एक टेक्निकल स्लाइड आ रहा है यहाँ पे. बहुत सारी चीज़ें इसके अंदर, कभी हम फिर कभी जाएंगे. बट यू सी दैट समटाइम्स पीपल आस्क, मुझे 4 वेद पढ़ने हैं, तो बहुत ज़्यादा है उसके अंदर. ऋग्वेद है, यजुर्वेद है, ये बहुत कुछ है. और उसके अंदर ना वेदा के कमेंट्रीज वगैरह भी बहुत है, डीप है, सब कुछ है. सो इफ वी स्टार्ट डूइंग दिस ना, बहुत टाइम जाएगा. अभी 1-2 श्लोक का याद करने को नहीं होता अपने को, कितना डिफिकल्ट है. इतने तो thousands and millions of verses are there in so many things. So many lifetimes will go if we start reading all of this. So we are doing the extract. सारे वेद का जो एसेंस है, इट इज गिवन इन द श्रीमद् भागवतम एंड भगवद गीता. सो वी आर जस्ट फोकसिंग ऑन दैट, राइट. सो राइट में सब गुण वगैरह लिखे हैं, उसमें फिर कभी जाएंगे. सो श्रीमद् भागवतम लिखा है ना वो पुराणाज में, सेकेंड पॉइंट में भागवत पुराण. सो देयर आर डिफरेंट पुराण. विष्णु पुराण से वी जस्ट रेड द डेफिनेशन ऑफ भगवान, है ना, थोड़ी देर पहले. we are going to primarily refer to Bhagavad Puran there. Okay, but there are so many other Puranas. Okay, so we will just do the extract. Now Vedic knowledge is infallible. कोई बोलेगा वेदा तो इतना टाइम पहले लिखा था, हाँ. So how is it true today? So we will see some examples here. Okay, see this, all these examples given here. Now Earth is round. 500 years back when Columbus set sail, na, they to discover the world, they said, अरे उधर आगे जाएगा तो गिर जाएगा, तो पूरा ऐसा है वो, you will just fall off, because they thought that the world is like a square. You will go to the edge of the square, your ship will fall off. Don't go that side. But then they discovered eventually. But our Vedas says Bhu गोल, धरती भू is धरती माँ, भूमि देवी गोल, भू गोल. From time ancient it is there. Earth is round. Then
Vaman avatar.
वामन अवतार भी है. Exactly. So it is already given. अच्छा, सप्तद्वीप का मेंशन है. 7 मेन कॉन्टिनेंट्स है वर्ल्ड में, बट सप्तद्वीप तो पहले से ही हमारे शास्त्र में लिखा है. The Vedas are so powerful. अच्छा, प्लांट्स के बारे में भी लिखा था कि प्लांट्स हैव लाइफ. ये रिसेंटली मे बी फ्यू अराउंड 80-90 years back, Jagdish Chandra Bose, he somehow discovered and he said plants have life. But हमारे में इसमें हमने क्या श्लोका लिया था? जलजान अवलक्षाणी, स्थावर लक्ष्मी. जलजान अवलक्षाणी, there are so many aquatic species, then plant species है. So we actually know the number of species कितना है प्लांट में. 10 lakh species है, हमने बोल दिया पहले से. 12 lakh species जो हिलते नहीं है, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट, ये तो प्लांट्स ही बोल रहे हैं, उसमें सारा कैटेगराइजेशन है. सो प्लांट्स हैव लाइफ. ह्यूमन एम्ब्रियोलॉजी के बारे में भी इन श्रीमद् भागवतम it is given. Recently sonography was invented, maybe few 70 80 90 years back, maybe I think in 1950 में हुआ था sonography invention. That is when they figured out कि अंदर क्या हो रहा है. When the lady is pregnant, what is happening with the embryo inside, कि embryo धीरे धीरे बड़ा हो गया, बाल आ गए, nails हो गए, हाथ पैर आ गए, घूम गया, नीचे हो गया. सोनोग्राफी से पता चल गया. आई रिमेंबर व्हेन सिद्धांत वाज अबाउट टू बॉर्न, वी वेंट फॉर सोनोग्राफी एंड देन दे सेड कि तुमको सीडी चाहिए क्या, सोनोग्राफी का सीडी. वी वर एक्साइटेड, यार सीडी बनाएंगे. एंड व्हेन वी सॉ द सीडी, इट वाज हार्डली आई कुड सी एनीथिंग, यू नो, कुछ ऐसा नॉइज वाइट कलर का था. एंड देन दे, बट एनीवे वी पेड फॉर इट. न्यू फादर टू बी, आई वाज एक्साइटेड. सो देन दैट इज द फर्स्ट टाइम सोनोग्राफी का रिजल्ट देखा. अंदर कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि क्या है. एंड आई वाज थिंकिंग इसको पता भी चला होगा कि मेल बॉय डिड नॉट टेल अस, बट सो कैसा पता चला. बट सी इन भागवतम कपिल देव इज टेलिंग टू मदर देवहूति अबाउट ह्यूमन एम्ब्रियोलॉजी, कि हाउ द फीटस डेवलप, हाउ द चाइल्ड टेक्स बर्थ. दिस इज गिवन इन कैंटो 3 चैप्टर 31. कोई जाके कभी वेदाबेस खोलिए घर जाके. कैंटो वेदाबेस इज अ कंप्लीट क्या बोलते हैं, ऑनलाइन सॉफ्ट कॉपी ऑफ श्रीमद् भागवतम एंड ऑफ ऑल श्रीला प्रभुपाद बुक्स. वेदाबेस, VEDABASE. So वेदाबेस में you go into canto 3 and chapter 31 and it is given how the fetus develops, how a child takes birth. हजारों साल पहले दिया है. अभी 1950 से सोनोग्राफी करके अभी बोल रहे लोग. टेस्ट ट्यूब बेबी महाभारता में. ओके, सो इन कौरव की माँ कौन थी? गांधारी. So Gandhari was also pregnant and Kunti Devi was also pregnant. Gandhari became pregnant earlier, Kunti Devi became later, but for whatever reason Kunti Devi delivered first baby. And when Gandhari came to know, she went just mad, because whoever was first, then they would rule the kingdom, na? है ना? So Gandhari out of anger, whatever, you know, out of that loss, whatever, loss to be in the race. It is a human tendency, मुझे आगे बढ़ना है, मैं first. So she got angry and then she stabbed herself, it is said. जो गत था उसको काफी स्टैब किया. एंड शी सेड मुझे नहीं चाहिए अभी, दैट्स इट, मेरा पहला बच्चा नहीं हुआ तो नहीं चाहिए, आई डोंट वांट. एंड दैट इज हाउ शी इंजर्ड द फीटस, द एंटायर स्ट्रक्चर. मास का जो बोला था उसको पूरा इंजर कर दिया उसने. एंड देन व्यासदेव केम एंड ही इंस्ट्रक्टेड गांधारी एंड शी बिकेम मोरोसिल कि गड़बड़ कर दिया मैंने. देन व्यासदेव केम एंड देन व्यासदेव सेड ओके, just divide this into 100 parts now. And then he kept them into small pots with ghee and some other things in it, which only you know. And then that was the first test tube baby conception. So the fetus, what is test tube baby? The fetus is developed outside the womb, ना. एक laboratory में, एक lab में, in a controlled environment में किया है ना. So then Vyasadeva did that 5000 years back. So that is how 100 Kauravas born. तुमको क्या लग रहा था कि 100 times Gandhari pregnant हुई? That is how 100 Kauravas were born immediately, ना, कि one after another in a certain small period of time. Otherwise 100 years it will take, isn't it? Okay. Ramayana, Ravan could travel in a Viman. So now who discovered the aeroplane here? The Wright brothers, they say. I was in 2002, I was in Ohio. Veena was also with me there. So in Ohio there is the biggest aeroplane museum. And the Wright brothers का बड़ा photo उधर, and how they discovered small planes and things like that. And that time also I thought, अरे वाह, कि जिसने विमान invent किया उसका मैंने देखा आज. So now that I am reading this, विमान तो रावण भी घूम रहा था विमान में. So there were already vimans earlier too. We just lost that technology actually. And now we are in a viman which can crash anytime. So we have to say Narsimha prayers when the viman starts. May I reach? Oh Lord, may I reach the destination safely. And if I am unable to reach, then may the last thought be of yours.
They are still working on that technology what we have earlier. They are working on mercury for the aeroplane as a fuel. They can use fuel for the aeroplane recently.
Yes.
So our technology, their work science
They
are
are
working right now.
trying. Yes, that's nice too. I did not know that. So that's good. Thank you for sharing. But I have also heard that NASA is actually dissecting all of our Vedas and
Yes.
trying to get
Yeah.
every information. That Om sound they are projecting, and then whatever that acoustics is coming, it is coming in the form of Shri Yantra, and there are so many things that they are finding, and they are working behind the scene. Okay. So that is what this Viman that Ravan had actually was an expandable Viman. Just by the thought process, it could expand. And so when all the monkeys also said to Sri Ram Prabhu, even we want to come with you, and he said no problem, hop on. And he just thought ki, okay, let it expand, and so many millions of monkeys were there. सारे विमान पे आ गए ना. Can you imagine? अभी टिकट नहीं है, तुम बाजू में रहो. ऐसा नहीं हुआ ना. So okay, what was I doing? And then cow dung and all. Okay, this is another thing. People are researching on cow dung. But back in villages, remember the entire house was nicely made up of cow dung. There was no ants inside, nothing. Such a nice thing. It used to stay so cool in spite of the 45-degree heat. And people went to cement, and now they are coming back. Now the cow dung houses are much more costlier. They are coming back again to the same thing. So we are coming to a conclusion that all these things are very, very important. Okay. Predictions of Vedas. This is all in card. It is all given. So all the forms of the Lord, भगवान के जितने पुराने हुए और आगे आने वाले सारे अवतारों के बारे में, there is a mention in the scriptures. It is given. Okay. Everything is given in the scriptures. If anything is not given here, and if you find somebody outside this, then you can make your own decision. Vedas so powerful hai, we have seen. Whatever is written in the Vedas is true, will come true. Whether we believe or we don't believe, it doesn't matter. I give an example, right? There are certain rules. My wife did not want to follow that rule of dropping the child by parking the car next to the school. She just did a rolling drop. After 2 months, the fine came. आंखें खुल गई तभी, $90 भर दी. अभी उसको सुनाता हूँ. Right? So it is important that we develop faith. थोड़ा हम श्रद्धा रखें और समझें. Okay, prediction of Vedas continues. There are so many things Vedas have predicted, and this is very, very. In fact, it was predicted the food will be sold publicly. At earlier, the food was given in charity. ना भिक्षाम देही लोग आपके दे देते थे. कोई बेचता नहीं था अन्न को. हाँ, barter system का exchange कर देते थे. You take my rice and then you give me dal in return because this is what I have grown. But it is sold now. So many things are happening here. Let's not go into all these details here, but you can read that. The second last point, like men with long hair will be considered beautiful. It is. Michael Jackson. Once upon a time, I had such long hair till here. I had that thing. कि मुझे बाल बड़े करके देखना है. Someday I will show that photo. And I did that because here no one was there to topify me. In India, my mother would not have allowed to do that. So I did that. At that time I thought, I had big mustaches. When I went to Jagannatha Prabhu's class, 2013, I went to similar class in Mill Park. I was sitting on the other side, and then he was telling. And then his mother came and she subtly told me that, that mustache and big dadi and big, you're associating more with the body. So men should be very clean shaven and things like that. At that time I realized that okay, it's not the best thing to keep bada baal. सुबह ऐसा बड़ा चोटी बांधना पड़ रहा है. So this is how Kali Yuga will it will superimpose on our thoughts. Okay. All right. What? So okay. I want to discuss something which we will straight away jump to something called as So God can be understood in three ways. Okay, concept there of God can be understood in scriptures. क्योंकि हम लोग God के टॉपिक पर है who is God. So we know the qualities of God कि one who has these five possessor of the six opulences. Okay, ये last point को भी छोड़ दो. So one who is doing all of this. So God can be understood in three ways. Okay, let me just take this off so that you don't want this up. Brahman, लिख लो, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Based on our scriptures, God can be understood in three ways: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. So Brahman, okay, first one, Brahman is the effulgence of the Lord, the all-pervading light, the all-pervading energy. जब भी बोलते हैं ना कि भगवान हर जगह है, भगवान सर्वव्यापी है, इसका मतलब क्या? ये जो ब्रह्मन फीचर है ना, ये सर्वव्यापी है. This Brahman is everywhere. So what is this Brahman made up of? This Brahman is spiritual or material?
Spiritual.
Yeah. Anything with God is spiritual. Material तो हम हैं. True or false?
We also
Material
have
and
a spiritual and material both.
Yeah,
All
we are.
spiritual.
हम लोग spiritual है. It is false. We are spiritual. I am spiritual. You are spiritual. Because we are spirit soul. But we are covered with a material body, and because we are covered with a material body, we identify ourselves with material objects. But we are spiritual beings. Okay. So we are discussing about Brahman. So Brahman is spiritual. That spiritual effulgence is everywhere. Okay. सारी जगह पे है. So कभी कभी बोलते हैं ना कि Brahman is a all pervading supreme light. कोई बोलते हैं ना कि लाइट में हम विलीन हो जाएंगे. That light which people outside refer, that is Brahman. Is all pervading energy of the Lord. Okay. Now to understand Brahman, we will take one example of sun. Surya Bhagwan. So sun and sunlight. Does sunlight have form? सूर्य किरण को आकार है. Does sunlight have form? Answer.
It doesn't have any form.
It doesn't have a form. Does sun have form? Yes or no? Yes. You just go out and you see.
Yes.
सुबह जाके देखना, you will see a form. गोल दिखेगा. Is sun and sunlight the same?
No.
What is the difference then?
He's a source. Sun is source and sunlight is coming out.
But sunlight है ना. सनलाइट और सन सेम नहीं है. कोई बोल रहा है? सॉरी. सनलाइट इज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ फ्यूजन ऑफ व्हाट? अच्छा, फ्यूजन.
Hydrogen reaction is going on here.
Some reaction is going on. Okay, that's fine. That okay. So एक सन है. So where does sunlight come from? Sun. सन जब भी आएगा तभी सनलाइट आएगी. So can I say sunlight comes from the sun?
Yes.
So sunlight in one way is the sun.
Yes.
हमारे जैसे हम घर में बैठे हैं, अभी सूर्य को तो नहीं देख सकते ना, बट खिड़की से तो अंदर उजाला आ रहा है, सूर्य किरण आ रही है, we can say sun बाहर निकल गया.
Yes.
So somehow technically we can say that by looking at the sunlight I can feel the presence of the sun. Nothing wrong in that. But sunlight and the sun are same and they are not the same, because sunlight comes from the sun. When I look at sunlight I can say it is a representation of the sun. But sunlight is not the sun. At the same time sunlight has that quality of the sun. It represents the sun. they अभिन्न है ना वो, कि I can't separate sun and the sunlight. Can I separate?
No.
ये sunlight है, ये रूम में है, sun ये रूम में है, ऐसा नहीं होता ना. जिधर sun है उधर ही sunlight है. Try to understand. ये समझ में आ गया तो ब्रह्मन समझ में आएगा. तो ब्रह्मन जो एनर्जी है, इट इज द एफल्जेंस ऑफ द लॉर्ड. जो भी भगवान है उनके बॉडी से एक एफल्जेंस निकलता है, लाइट निकलती है. जैसे बल्ब से लाइट निकल रहा है ना, वैसे भगवान के इसमें से एक लाइट निकलता है. वो लाइट, इट इज द ऑल परवेडिंग ब्रह्मन. तो जब भी कोई बाहर बोलते हैं ना कि भगवान हर जगह है, इसका मतलब क्या? भगवान की जो एनर्जी है वो हर जगह है। वही भगवान तो स्पिरिचुअल है, तो जो एनर्जी निकलेगी वो भी स्पिरिचुअल है। सो ब्रह्मन इज ऑल्सो स्पिरिचुअल, सो दैट एनर्जी इज एवरीवेयर। ओके, सो ये जो ब्रह्मन लाइट है, इट इज नॉट लाइक एन एनी ऑर्डिनरी लाइट, इट इज अ स्पिरिचुअल लाइट। उसके अंदर बहुत एक तेज होता है, अलग अलग तरीके का। सो पीपल हु आर मेडिटेटिंग ऑन दैट लाइट ब्रह्मन, दे वांट टू एक्सपीरियंस दैट ब्लिस। एक अलग तरह का आनंद होता है उसके अंदर से। सो जैसे बाहर अभी जाएंगे तो देयर इज अ ब्रह्म ज्योति बोलते हैं उसको ना, तो देयर आर ब्रह्म कुमारीज हु आर मेडिटेटिंग ऑन दिस ब्रह्मन फॉर्म ऑफ द लॉर्ड, है ना। कि वो लाइट, उनको लगे कि ये लाइट के हम अंदर जाके हम खो जाएंगे, उसके लाइट के अंदर जाके हम ब्लिस हो जाएंगे, ऐसे करते हैं। ओके, सो नाउ एक एग्जांपल देते हैं। हैव यू सीन अ पैरट? हाँ, ग्रीन पैरट। अगर ग्रीन पैरट यहाँ पे आके बैठेगा तो हम इजीली आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे। बट एट द सेम टाइम वंस मी एंड वीना वर वॉकिंग, वृषभानु सुता वर वॉकिंग, वी वर टेकिंग मॉर्निंग वॉक, चप्पा वॉक कर रहे थे, और हम लोग के एल्बर्ट पार्क में काफ़ी सारे पेड़ है। एंड शी कम्स फ्रॉम अ बैकग्राउंड वेयर इन शी वॉज मच मोर क्लोजर टू द नेचर एज कम्पेयर टू मी। बहुत सारे पेड़ थे उनके घर में, आंगन में, बड़ा उनका वो था। सो शी कैन ईजिली स्पॉट बर्ड्स एंड अदर थिंग्स इन द ट्री। सो उसने बोला, तो पैरट देखो उधर, ग्रीन कलर का रेड बीक है। मैं देखो, मुझे कुछ भी नहीं दिखाई दिया। कहाँ पे है? अरे थोड़ा उधर से नीचे नीचे करके राइट सेकंड में देखो। एंड देन समहाउ शी हेल्प मी टू स्पॉट इट, एंड देन आई कैच, ओह दिख गया, व्हाट अ ब्यूटीफुल पैरट। ओके, सो व्हेन पैरट गोज इनटू अ ग्रीन ट्री, दूर को जिसको नॉलेज नहीं उसको क्या लगेगा? द पैरट हैज मर्ज्ड इनटू द ट्री। बट जिसके पास आंखें हैं ठीक से देखने, वो अंदर जाके देखेगा, अरे सब पैरट अलग अलग डाली पे बैठे हैं, अलग अलग फ्रूट चुग के खा रहे हैं। ब्रह्मन भी वैसा ही है। एज लिविंग एंटिटीज, एज सोल, पीपल विल टेल यू आउटसाइड हम विलीन हो जाएंगे। नहीं, वी आर सेपरेट एनर्जी। You are a spiritual spark, she is a spiritual spark, everything is a different spiritual spark. At never any point in time ऐसा कोई शॉर्ट सर्किट होगा, सब स्पार्क मिलके एक साथ होके अस्तित्व मिट गया अपना, ऐसे नहीं होएगा। When we merge into Brahman, as they say, somebody wants to merge into Brahman, they can enter into Brahman. For outside it may feel that वो ब्रह्मन में मर्ज हो गया। नहीं, अंदर तोता बैठा हुआ अलग अलग डाली पे,
सब अपने अपने पेड़ के ठिकाने बैठ जाएंगे।
हाँ, अंदर बैठ रहे हैं और आनंद ले रहे हैं वो फ्रूट का। कितना टाइम आनंद लेंगे ब्रह्मन में, क्या होगा, दैट्स अ टॉपिक टू बी डिस्कस्ड एट अ डिफरेंट टाइम। दैट बैटल विल डू एट अ डिफरेंट टाइम। अभी इतना समझे ब्रह्मन क्या है। व्हेन यू गो आउट ऑफ दिस क्लास टुडे, ब्रह्मन का कंसेप्ट एकदम क्लियर होना चाहिए। सो वी आर गोइंग टू जस्ट फोकस ऑन ब्रह्मन फॉर सम मोर टाइम। सो Brahman is the cause of everything in this world. For example, ये जो माइक है ना, I'll take the example which my शिक्षा गुरु जगन्नाथ प्रभु explained it to me. तो ये माइक किसका बना है? प्लास्टिक। प्लास्टिक किससे बना है?
केमिकल्स,
रेजिन से बनता है। प्लास्टिक रेजिन से बनता है। रेजिन किससे बनता है? कार। हाँ, ऐसा इसको बोलते हैं कि रिवर्स कार्बन। बट व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू इज अ रिवर्स प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं हम लोग, कि वी आर ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट, वी आर गोइंग टू डू अ रिवर्स एनालिसिस कि कैसा करते हैं। एंड एक्सप्लेनेशन ये है कि अपने धीरू भाई अंबानी कौन कौन जानते हैं? धीरू भाई अंबानी जानते हैं, उनके बेटे सभी जानते हैं, उनके बेटे मुकेश। बट धीरू भाई अंबानी ही स्टार्टेड हिज बिजनेस विद टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री, टेक्सटाइल है। देन ही डिड दिस रिवर्स एनालिसिस कि कपड़ा किससे आता है। ही वेंट बैक, देन ही केम टू अ कंक्लूजन दैट कपड़ा इससे आता है, ये पेट्रोकेमिकल से आते हैं, पेट्रोकेमिकल्स पेट्रोल से आते हैं। पेट्रोल कहाँ से आते हैं? क्रूड ऑयल से आते हैं। क्रूड ऑयल कहाँ से आता है? ग्राउंड से आते हैं, समुद्र में। तो इवेंचुअली सेट अप दोस कंपनी, दैट इज हाउ ही प्रोग्रेस्ड। तो एक बहुत बड़ी कंपनी थी जो क्रूड ऑयल बनाती थी। ट्रू और फॉल्स?
नो, क्रूड ऑयल को बनाने,
क्रूड ऑयल खोजती थी।
खोजती थी।
बनाया किसने?
भगवान ने।
पहले से नेचर
Nature
में
में
था, हाँ नेचर में था, हाँ क्रूड ऑयल वाज देयर इन द नेचर. दिस कंपनी वाज ट्राइंग टू ड्रिल एंड देन मिला तो मिला, नहीं तो आगे बढ़ो और आगे करके वहाँ पे खुदाई करो, राइट. दैट इज हाउ क्रूड ऑयल वाज. सो वेयर दिस क्रूड ऑयल कम फ्रॉम? मदर नेचर. What is earth made up of? What is nature made up of? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. ये material है. But that thing is made by Brahman. If you so call. Everything in this world is made up of that energy of the Lord Brahman. Okay. Now Brahman is spiritual, but it is also the cause of material things. Atoms, protons, neutrons, जो भी है सारा ब्रह्मन से है. ओके. सो ब्रह्मन से मटेरियल चीज भी आती है, स्पिरिचुअल भी है. हु आर वी? स्पिरिट सोल. व्हाट इज स्पिरिट मेड अप ऑफ? व्हाट इज स्पिरिट मेड अप ऑफ? ब्रह्मन. एवरीथिंग इन दिस वर्ल्ड इज मेड अप ऑफ ब्रह्मन. वो जो एनर्जी है, दैट एनर्जी इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द गॉड, फ्रॉम गॉड. स्पिरिचुअल एफल्जेंस है, भगवान के इसमें से निकलता है. जो उनमें से निकल रहा है मतलब वो भी उसी के, हाँ वो भी ब्रह्मन है. वो एनर्जी निकली वो भी ब्रह्मन है. हम भी ब्रह्मन है. ये सारी चीजें भी ब्रह्मन से ही बनी हुई है. नाउ मैं भी ब्रह्मन हूँ, भगवान भी ब्रह्मन है. आई एम इक्वल टू गॉड. ट्रू और फॉल्स?
No.
हाँ फॉल्स. फॉल्स.